Hello everybody, my name is Sophie and welcome back to another video. Even if you're just a little bit on Booktok, like just a teeny tiny bit, like you've dabbled in Booktok kind of vibe, you probably have heard of Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. There was a lot of controversy surrounding this book because it has such a cartoonish cover, but oh wait, I can't swear yet. How can I put this without getting demonetized? People in the book cuddle naked a lot. And this led to a few younger people, a few children, if you will, to read this book. People kind of discovering that younger people were reading this book because those kiddies liked the cover. Maybe they knew what was waiting for them in the book, that there was going to be naked cuddling. But maybe they didn't. Maybe they tricked their parents. Maybe. Good news is there's 2 more of those books, guys. There's 2 more. I read the 3rd one, I skipped the 2nd. Daydream by Hannah Grace is the 3rd book in the series. They are all with different characters. We don't revisit the first 2 people who, honestly, I don't even remember what happened to Icebreaker. I just know that they did cuddle naked in an Uber to like Taylor Swift playing in the radio. As we can see, Daydream has a similar cover with 2 cartoonish looking people. It's very cutesy with the cover, I think, not just the people, but also the vibe of it with the lilac and the pink. I tried to match it. Is it as diabolical as Icebreaker? You're gonna ask me. You have to watch further. I have to thank my members first. My members get to see my videos a day early. They do. And you know what else they do? They vote on my reads. So this was not my own choice. Oh, a little bit. I did influence them a little bit. I was kind of like hinting towards the fact that I wanted to read a book more than the others, and that was Daydream, because I had gotten it already. And I was like, if I have it in physical form, like I do have to read it. And also my nails currently do match the cover unintentionally, so I felt like the universe was aligning. I'm not sure. But they did end up voting on this out of their own free will, of course. I just said if I had to pick myself, I would pick Daydream. I get exclusive content such as my movie commentary on the Ruby Red movie. And I don't know if you guys have seen it, but in Germany I feel like a lot of people are now again talking about the Ruby Red trilogy. And that it's a movie. All 3 of them. I kind of want to rewatch them. I don't know if they're not on Netflix, but maybe I should. No, I can't actually. I can't make movie commentaries anymore. They banned me. Copyright law in Germany is strict. And they get my eternal peace and love and okay, whatever. They get that. To answer your question before we talk about the book, no. It's not as diabolical as Icebreaker. But its crime was not being like them having violent sex for half of the book. The crime of this book was being boring as fuck. Genuinely, I can't put into words how bored I was reading this. It has a lot of pages. It has like over 400 pages, which speechless. At so many points while reading this, I asked myself what is going to happen next, because, or not what is going to happen next, or more like when is something going to happen, because there was Before I talk about the contents of the book more, I wanted to talk about some things beforehand. For example, the children on TikTok. I searched it up on TikTok to see what people had to say. A lot of people liked it. It just came out recently, actually, like last month in September, I think, September 2024. I'm pretending like I can't fucking check. Okay, I lied. 27th of August. But who's counting? Back to the children on TikTok. I saw this randomly while searching the book up, and I was flabbergasted because someone was just talking about Icebreaker. Or what are they talking about? Icebreaker Spice Chapters is the search bar at the top. I did not search that, guys. I'm not horny like that. I looked up Daydream Hannah Grace, and then this came up when I clicked on one of the TikToks. The comments read, for example, "That's all, question mark, question mark. I'm low-key happy about it. Icebreaker had way too many." And then someone else says, "Thank you, you saved my life. My friends bought me the book and my mother took it to see what it's about. She didn't see the spicy things." And then someone said, "That's it?" And someone said, "Is it really spicy? Like 2 chili peppers? I mean, will my mom get angry if she find it?" 2 mothers mentioned back to back. Girl, get up. Go outside. why are you reading this? The argument always revolves around the fact, like, how responsible are parents for what their children are reading? Should they be checking every single book? At the end of the day, I know what I was reading when I was 12 on Wattpad, and I was looking up One Direction Imagines. So, you know, who am I to speak? But I think it's different when it's like a actual book and they walk around with that outside and people recognize it and they know what's going on in it. Now, I do have to give Hannah Grace some grace. You see what I did there, queen? It does mention on the back, not suitable for younger readers. Okay, you can judge for yourself like how big of an impact it does for you, because it's right here. Not suitable for younger readers. And then in the front, also literally the first page when you open it, it says, content warning, Daydream is intended for mature readers only, contains complex themes and sexually explicit content. So, okay, whatever, you just have to trust me. So they did make an effort to warn people. Whether this will be recognized by people responsible is another question. But I think by now there was also so much buzz about it that maybe even, you know, with bookshops, I don't know if you work in a bookshop, if you're going to say, no, I'm not going to sell that to you. I don't know if they do that. I don't know if they care enough getting minimum wage if they would do that, you know? Let's also go on Hannah Grace's Instagram page and kind of critique her for whatever the fuck she's posting on there. The book released actually yesterday. She posted this yesterday. It says the tropes. Sorry if I'm talking like weirdly. I'm having trouble finding words because I haven't spoken English in so long. I don't know how the language works anymore. I'm German. I'm glad we got that out of the way. We have strangers to friends to lovers, college romance, private tutor, and then the last one says fake dating. It's not fake dating, girl. We'll talk more about it when we talk about what their fake dating looks like. It's not fake dating. And then another one of her posts says that she was like trying to typecast. Now I have to look it up. Why didn't I screenshot it? Girl, we don't have time. I was trying to like make these beautiful visuals so you could envision what the characters are like, because Henry is a character that was in the other two books also. I mean, I don't know if he was in the second book. I didn't read it, but I know he was in the first one. But this character, the main love interest, her name is Hallie, which just means hall in German, so, you know, it's not a, you couldn't name your child that in Germany. It says as a category, oh, I liked it. Don't worry, I unliked. Excellent baker. As a description for, okay, you just have to trust me again. She bakes a total of like 4 things in the entire book, and she never talks about baking. I'm not sure, like, because I've seen more posts than this one where it said she was an excellent baker, and it's like, that is not what her character is. Like, that's not part of her personality. That she loves baking and she's really into baking, at least not from what I see. But I also have to say that I think Hannah Grace was trying to do a lot with this book and kind of fell flat on every single thing. So that brings me to the next thing. Girl, I wrote down so many things, which is the disclaimer in the front. I truly think that when she was writing this book, and again, I don't know what the second book is about. I don't even know why we had a second book that wasn't about Henry, because I don't know if the people cared about the character that it was about. It was Russ. I will not be mentioning Russ anymore. I don't know who that is. I don't know who anyone is for that matter. There were too many characters. Whenever the names came up, I was just like, oh, I just skipped it. If I'm being honest, I don't know who anybody is. She was like rubbing her hands when she was writing it. She was like, Booktok is gonna love this book. We have like a, she heard this one audio where it was like, I like my man a little bit autistic, and she was like, I'm gonna write a little bit of an autistic man. We'll talk about it because we're gonna talk about the disclaimer. Henry was in the first book. Again, I don't know if he was in the second book. People loved him. A lot of people did. And I think that the people who loved the other books, who were disappointed in this one, were kind of disappointed in the way he was portrayed. Now, I had no expectations because I didn't remember him, but he is supposedly the one that's like, he doesn't understand social cues, he gets overstimulated really quickly, he has struggles with his academics because he procrastinates and then he can't, no, I think he gets good grades, but he's a like notorious procrastinator. That's a hard word for me to say, I'm sorry. And he just is very blunt, very straightforward, and so a lot of people were probably expecting when they picked up this book, and I only noticed from the disclaimer, which is 2 pages, and I'm gonna read it out to you whether you want it or not, that he was going to be diagnosed with something. With a little something something. She decided, I'm not gonna do that, girl, I'm not gonna do that. And now we're gonna listen to what she has to say. Dearest reader, I know you're eager to get started, blah blah blah. Since I first published Icebreaker, I've received so many messages asking if Henry will receive a diagnosis to explain the traits that I've always called neurodivergent coded. The short answer is no, he doesn't. Already I was like, bitch. No. I was like, okay, you chicken out then. But it continues again, it's 2 pages long. Some of you might be thinking, okay, cool, I could have read the book to find that out, but I know many of you feel represented by Henry, or might be on a journey of your own, and knowing this ahead of time might be important to you. I've always said I wouldn't write a diagnosis storyline, so this you wouldn't have to anyway, so this shouldn't be a shock to the ones who have followed me for a while. Okay, sorry I don't follow you on all your fucking Instagram and shit, bitch. There are so many reasons why, but aside from the real life obstacles Henry might face in the healthcare system, the main reason is people live fulfilled lives every day without an explanation for why they feel different. It doesn't make anyone their wants or their needs less valid to not have a medical diagnosis. That's true. But the fact that you felt your need to write this letter shows that, do you really believe in that? Like, because people were asking you to do it, then just do it. Like, anyway, we're gonna continue. It doesn't make anyone, I already said that. Henry and his actions have always been loosely based on my own! And it's taken 30 years to receive my AUDHD diagnosis versus autism and ADHD. Something I did not have when I started writing Henry. When I was 20 like Henry, frustrated and upset because it felt like my brain just would not work properly and I was suffocating. At no point did anybody think it would be something more than the anxiety and depression I was diagnosed with. I've been very honest and this book was difficult for me to write. Yeah, it read like that. I wanted to get it right for you all, you didn't. And more important, I wanted to get it right for Henry. Well, he would be disappointed in you. I put a bit of myself in every character I create. Anastasia's anxiety, nobody fucking cares. Ironically, the pressure I put on myself to not let you all down was possibly the most Henry thing I could do, then you should have just done it. I believe Henry is the character who has changed the most since I created him, but that's because I've changed so much since I gave you all Nate and Stassi. Nobody gives a fuck about Nate and Stassi, if I'm being fucking honest, like burn Icebreaker. I'm not pro book burning, I'm German, you know, that would really shine a bad light on me. I truly hope Daydream was worth waiting for. Sorry, I do need that to look up my notes. She explained herself well, and some part of me gets it. She didn't want to commit to the bit. Maybe it would have been too difficult for her to write it, especially because she is, presumably because she doesn't show herself online, a white woman, and Henry is a black man. And then their experiences in the healthcare system would again be different. I also thought Hannah Grace was, English. Like, I didn't think she was American anyway. When I read it, I immediately was like, I don't fuck with this. Especially if people come to you and they say they feel represented by him. You have your own, you're literally diagnosed with this. You have your own experiences. You could have easily given him an out, but he doesn't even, or not an out, but like an in, but he doesn't even think about it. Everybody just is like, okay, he's just different. And sadly, that is not normally how things go in real life. And so I think with a lot of aspects in this book, and especially that one, I kind of felt disconnected from the storyline because I was like, this is just not realistic, you know what I mean? I mean, to each their own, but what then really pissed me off, it didn't piss me off, but then what I was like, aha, bitch, oh, sorry, I have to stop saying it. I'm going crazy. There are active, relevant characters to the story that have ADHD and autism. Okay, the autism character gets mentioned offhandedly when Holly's neighbor, who's a grandma, borrows her cat because her granddaughter wanted the cat because of her autism. I actually don't remember. But I feel like if you want to go this route, it feels more dishonest, or not, I don't know how to like properly put it into words, but if I were a true hardcore fan of these books, and then I would have wanted it for Henry to get answers for him, and maybe wanted myself to be represented by him, and then I get this disclaimer about, oh, he's not gonna get a diagnosis, and then I was like, okay, I'm still gonna read this book because I love the characters, and then I read the book and there are other characters who are like actively have ADHD, have been diagnosed, I would have been like, okay, why couldn't we do this for Henry? Like, you don't have to write on paper that he's going to a therapist or that he's seeking help. You could have done it with your fuck-ass epilogue that you do 6 months later when someone's pregnant, you know? She could have made her pregnant and him have a diagnosis. Fuck's sake, you know what I mean? I don't know, this is like, it's not that deep, but it's up to your own interpretation if you're bothered by this or not. I just felt like it was a little bit weird that she would write this whole disclaimer and then also say, no, but I know what it's like, but I'm not going to give him a diagnosis, but I'm going to give other characters a diagnosis. I was like, okay, so what did Henry do? What did he do to piss you off? But now, let's get into the actual book. Who are the main characters? Henry, we know or may not know from Icebreaker. He is now the hockey captain, because he plays hockey, and he has 2 lesbian moms, which makes him an ultra-feminist, and he, again, is autism/ADHD, or both, or either or coded, but he does not get diagnosed. I mentioned earlier, he gets overwhelmed in a situation, he's very straightforward, he doesn't get social cues, blah, blah, blah. Holly, or Hallie, whatever the fuck it is the main character, and she got on my fucking nerves, guys. Genuinely, it felt like a chore to read this book, and I would put it down, and I didn't want to put it back up. I wanted to have it be down. I didn't want to read it again. Holly is the oldest sister. We do get a dedication in the front that says... Wait, I have to find it. For the eldest daughters in my life. I see you, I appreciate you, and most important, I love you for who you are and not what you do for everyone. That being said, Hannah Grace is not the oldest daughter, but she felt the need to write a book about the oldest daughter. I'm the oldest daughter. Yoo-hoo! Yoo-hoo! Unite! So it's very much a story of Holly, who is a people pleaser, who does everything for her family. Everybody just lets her do everything, takes it for granted. She doesn't have any friends. She's super insecure. She continuously apologizes for everything. She has no self-confidence, which then later she goes and is like, oh, I've always tried to work so hard to love myself, but girl, you haven't. Like, you genuinely shut the fuck up. That's why this is up. I need her to shut the fuck up. I would not be able to have a Holly in my life. I'm gonna be honest. Like, girls, stand up. Girls, stand up. Rise up. I get it that some people need more reassurance, especially if they have been through situations in their life that maybe make them less confident or insecure in themselves, which Holly has been through. But if I continuously have to reassure you in every single situation that it's okay, that's gonna get on my fucking nerves. Like, okay, the first 2 or 3 times I get it, like, we're new, we don't know each other, we maybe don't fuck them. Oh, she doesn't fuck, she's a virgin. Yay! Yay! Virgin and fuck boy! Yay! Her and her boyfriend at the time, called Will, they break up. He breaks up with her because she doesn't he doesn't like her that much. They were friends for years. They're family friends. Their parents always wanted them to end up together. Then they end up together. She kind of can't figure out a way to leave this relationship because she's such a people pleaser. She is not a fucking people pleaser, guys. I'm sorry. I always have to think back on this one thing that I saw once where it's like, okay, you call yourself a people pleaser? How many people are pleased with you right now? None. Will is definitely like the antagonist of the story. There isn't really an antagonist. Honestly, Hallie is the self-sabotaging one. Ah! What the fuck? I don't know where that came from. He breaks up with her randomly. He goes, girl, I don't want to be with you anymore. And this is after the day or the night prior he tried to have sex with her and she declined again. And they've been in a relationship for a year. They have not had sex. Obviously, there has been no communication about why or sexual preferences, and so he breaks up with her. This is supposed to make me not like him. There are reasons we shouldn't like him. Like, he's genuinely like a bad character, like a bad person. But low-key, guys, yes, I'm gonna say it. If you're with someone for a year and they don't want to have sex with you and your sex drive is high and you want to have sex and they keep declining you, that is a valid reason to break up. What am I supposed to say? Sex drive is not matching is something that's completely normal, and if people have a different priority set on that, how important it is to them. And if it's something that's very important to you but not something that's important to the person you're with, you have to communicate, which they don't do, and you have to figure yourself out, which they don't do, or you break up. That's just how it goes. And so that was like a valid reason for me. I was like, okay, she doesn't want to have sex with him. He wants to have sex so bad, then break up. Like, like it's not gonna work otherwise. What are we gonna do? He does keep trying to pressure her into sex, which obviously that's not something we're for. We're here for consent, but they don't talk. We'll talk about it later. Like, he's definitely a bitch, as I said, but I don't know if in the breakup, that's like the one thing that I would be focusing on. Like, it's like, because it's really much like written like, oh my god, how could he break up with her if she doesn't want to have sex? Girl, you need to do this. Yep. This is her kind of standpoint. Hallie breaking up, or her boyfriend breaking up with her. Her now being completely alone because all the friends that her boyfriend had were also her friends, but not really. Like, they're all on his side, blah, blah. She has no friends. She has no friends. So that's her life. And then Henry on the other side is now the ice hockey captain because the dude from Icebreaker graduated or whatever. And low-key, I thought like the girly pop was pregnant, but maybe she wasn't because she does appear in this book and she very much does not have a baby. He is accidentally, because he procrastinated so much in a class with his least favorite professor. Why am I so... I have to sit up. Girl, stand up. This dude does not fuck with Henry, and Henry does not fuck with him. Apparently, the way he's teaching is not something that he can get into or get behind. He describes it that his brain, like, when he doesn't care for it, he can't do it. Okay. He still has not figured out what works for him because Hallie comes into his life, and I don't know... Freshman. No, junior. So they're almost done with high school, college. Oh my god. America is so confusing. They're almost done with college and he still has not figured out his learning style, which maybe could have resolved if you had looked into it. But alas, he procrastinated. He's now in this class, and it turns out that Hallie is really good with this professor, or she fucks with him heavy. And that's kind of how they start talking, because she's also in a book club, because of course she, if you can't tell on the cover, she has books in her hand because she loves reading and she's an author. And she has a Taylor Swift cardigan on because she loves Taylor Swift. And if you look into the back, girl, this was like too much for me. Love you, Taylor Swift, but secret playlist, Hallie's version, is just Taylor Swift songs for every... I don't even know for what. It's just, I don't know for what. What is this playlist? It's just Stay Beautiful. And it's like Tortured Poets Department songs in here too, which is recent, and the last song is So High School, which already is jail. I know my shit. The love interest from the second book, her name is Aurora. They keep referring to her with like 5 different nicknames. I was genuinely under the impression that there were 5 different characters. It's either Aurora, Rory, Roars. I don't know who the fuck she is. You know, I don't know. When people turned up, I was just going with it. I didn't know who was who. She is in the book club that Hallie is running, and she takes Henry for some reason. That's how Henry and Hallie, I'm gonna say her name different every single time, meet for the first time, and they immediately want to fuck! I think he's there because he wants to get books for his new essay that he has to write with this professor, because he wrote an essay and he failed it, and then his hockey coach was like, I'm gonna remove you from being captain because you're failing the class, because the coach is a freak. Henry says about this Aurora girly pop, she's conventionally attractive, average height and build, suntanned white skin with green eyes and blonde hair, but I don't think she'd be very interesting to draw. And it's like, okay, we didn't ask for your fucking opinion. Because of course Henry's also a tortured artist, what did I say it like that? He's like a fuckboy. Whenever he walks across, or when they're walking somewhere, people always turn their heads and are like looking at him, but like low-key, and also just like low-key, no, actually high-key, like I wouldn't turn around. Just to be mysterious. I wouldn't give him the attention. Genuinely do not fuck with the writing. This is the first time Hallie sees Henry. She goes, baby, he's a model and I've seen him on a billboard. He has the bone structure for it. My god. Sharp and yet soft at the same time. An oxymoron, I know. But it makes sense with his face, I swear. Calm down. It could be my imagination and / or the coffee again. I don't like the writing. I don't know if fucking Hannah Grace Poppy Floppy has a fucking editor. I don't know. But if she doesn't, you need one, girl, because it doesn't read like you do. We have glossy back to back. It says her glossy black hair, and then it says I skimmed the glossy paper, and those are the only 2 times the word glossy comes up, so it's weird that she used it back to back. Alas, you know, who am I to speak? You know, I'm not a best-selling author of a book that looks like it's for children but has diabolic sex in it. Hallie is the big sister. She moved away from her family and they still call and continuously want her to do something. I think she has 2 sisters, I don't know about the other one because she does not come up again. Only the ADHD sister comes up. It says, I was the one who originally suspected she was dyslexic and had ADHD, and the one who worked blah 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 blah. We do have an active side character, which is the little sister that has ADHD. She comes up continuously. The things that work for the ADHD sister work for Henry with his studying. Nobody goes to question it. It's just, you know what I mean? It's like, you could have had a scene where she's like, oh, my little sister has ADHD. She also feels this in this way. Is this not something that you would ever want an answer to? Like, you never wanted to go to a specialist to get answers to why you are this way, or get help on how you can just improve your studying, everything. And then he could have still said, oh no, I'm happy with who I am. Nobody cares enough though, apparently. And so that's just what I find unrealistic, you know what I mean? But that's just... Now after this breakup with her ex, Holly all of a sudden within 5 pages has best friends. And those are the girly pops that she works with or are from book club. I honestly don't know how they got to know each other, and neither do I care. I just know that there's one lesbian because we need a lesbian. We do. She sees Anastasia, which is the main character from Icebreaker. She writes, she's much shorter than my 5'10" height, comma, I'd guess half a foot smaller. I don't like the way that's written. I don't like the way that's written. Nobody gives a fuck about the Icebreaker characters, I'm gonna be fucking honest. Immediately, she's best friends with Henry. They see each other at this party too. I don't know how this comes to be. They're having a conversation yet again about ADHD. She goes, my younger sister has the same problem. We found it's because she has ADHD. Why are we not elaborating? I don't know, because she didn't want to do it. He could be like, oh, she has ADHD, maybe I do. And Hallie could be like, oh yeah, but you know, you're functioning great. Like, this is only if this, you can just see someone if you really want to. And then he could be like, yeah, I'm just content with my life. I don't think I need a label for whatever I have. And then this could have been a conversation, but she doesn't even do that. It was so frustrating because it kept coming up. My little sister's ADHD. I dread to think what school would be like for her if we hadn't pushed her doctors. I spend a lot of time looking up ADHD, and some people go their whole lives not knowing that they are neurodivergent. Sorry, oversharing. We don't care, but he literally doesn't give a fuck. He just wants to see her pussy. They're at a party yet again. I don't know, they keep going to parties, and it's like she almost gets with a fuckboy, and then he tells her, you look really hot, and his mouth lingers near my ear, his breath warming the sensitive spot on my neck. These are the experiences I've read about in romance books. Ugh. Ugh. Girl. The hot bad boy showing interest in the, let's face it, inexperienced sheltered virgin. Girl. Real cliche, and drunk me finds it funny, but I suspect sober me would be embarrassed as hell. She's embarrassed by everything. She is so embarrassed by everything. She keeps apologizing for everything. Henry comes in, he's like, she's mine. And then they break it up, and he's like, if you want to fuck someone, just fuck me, blah, blah, blah. They keep hanging out after this point. I have to tell you guys, there is no plot going on, right? I'm just gonna read out like quotes. There is no plot going on. Basically, they come together, and she helps him with his essays with the same method that she's helping her ADHD sister, but nobody finds this like interesting or at all. What am I even saying? I feel like my words are not coming out correctly. Man. And he's like, I don't want to abuse your kindness, I want to help you. And then she's like, well, I want to write a book because she studies literature, she wants to be a fucking author or whatever. And then he's like, okay, like, what are you writing about? She's like, I'm writing a book about a girl and a boy, and it's at their wedding, and she's walking down the aisle, and at the end you realize she's not walking towards the boy that you've been reading about, but towards his best friend. Who she's marrying, and it's like the story of how that happened, and it's like a big twist, and in the end she changes it, so it's a fucking boring ass book. I just spit everywhere. In the end she ends up changing it to just the dude and the girl, not the best friend, like no plot twist, because Henry was like, you shouldn't do that. Okay, Henry, nobody fucking asked you. He's like, I'm gonna give you experiences to make up for the fact that you are a pussy and you have never done anything. And they make a plan, they make a list of rules, and it's like, Hallie is not allowed to be embarrassed in front of Henry. And then Henry must break Holly's heart if she falls in love with him. Hey, it'll even double as a new experience. Give me plenty to write about. I don't know why they make this list. It's really unnecessary. Like, there's no reason for this list to exist. The thing is, throughout this entire book going forward, it's literally, like, it's so boring. It's so boring. Nothing happens, guys. There is no tension. There is no plot twist. You can write a romance about two people falling in love. You can even make it the main focus of the story, but you have to have a subplot going on. Girly pop, this is your third book. This is Daydream. This is a nightmare. This is a nightmare, guys. Girl, shut up. I genuinely mean it with there is nothing going on. They go on dates. They hang out with her friends. Sometimes her ex comes in, but Henry's always like, whatever, I don't really give a fuck about him. I'm calm. Like, the thing is, Harry? Who's that now? Henry is so nonchalant about everything that happens. It low-key makes him boring, I'm gonna say it. And with her girly pop, she's also low-key boring. Also, I can't buy the fact that you want to be an author and then you want to write a book for this writing competition, the story about the wedding, and then you have to come up with it. Like, if anybody who actively wants to be an author, who says, I've always wanted to be an author, has at least like 3 stories up in their fucking mind that they could have handed in for this fuck-ass competition. She doesn't even win it because her writing is so ass, you know? For the most part, there is, again, nothing going on in the story. And you can have character-driven stories, that's not the issue, but you need at least a little bit going on in the back. A little bit. Because this whole thing with, like, I'm gonna take you on dates and give you experiences, this is kind of forgotten about after the first date. They just start hanging out conventionally, like, normally as friends or more. And then the whole thing with him failing his class isn't mentioned till the end of the book again, because we don't see them working on his shit again. The chapters also end so oddly or weirdly, in my opinion, where it's like they're baking something together, because I remember she's an excellent baker. They are hanging out for one of the first times, I would say, baking something together, which is obviously something that would bond the two characters together. They have a lot to talk about, and then the chapter ends and the next chapter starts with Henry at hockey practice. And we don't see how any of it developed, them baking together or anything. And it's also really odd because all of the important conversations that they seem to have about themselves and their backstories only happen when they're on page together, like down the line. And it's like, no, but you've been hanging out for months privately and we just haven't seen it. Like, how am I supposed to have interest in this relationship when I'm not there with them? They're just hanging out from the get-go together, alone, without me. I don't care about them. I mentioned earlier that he has 2 moms. I actually am not sure if he's been adopted or if he's like the one of their sons from a previous relationship. It's not clarified. Maybe it was in the first book, I just don't remember. But how do I know he's an ultra-feminist? He says, it isn't surprising for me to find hair in a place where hair grows, Hallie. You haven't shattered any illusions for me that women are smooth and hairless. Oh my god, Henry! And then he says, virginity is a social construct. Sometimes you just need a man to tell you about virginity being a social construct to know that yourself. Henry. They go to a party and it's like a concert and a party and somebody's brother does coke. I think it's the brother of Russ, who is the main character of the second book. This is something that's then completely ignored. We also have a subplot of people getting roofied at this party that's made to seem like a big deal for around 100 pages, where it's like, oh, sexual assault, they don't drink anymore, they've experienced it in the past, so on and so forth. And that's also something that then just gets forgotten about. It's like so many little things get started, like the whole thing of him doing coke seems to be such a big issue, where it's like it kept being brought up throughout these 100 pages, like, oh, he's busy because his brother is doing coke and now he has to take care of something because his brother is doing coke. And then later on, it's just forgotten. And I feel like someone doing coke should be a bigger deal. I was pushy and weird last night. I tried to intervene with you and your friends. I know I overstepped, Henry. No, you were right. I should have said something to Russ. He has a complicated situation with his family and I don't know how to handle it sometimes. Usually I just listen to him rant and I don't need to give him advice. I'm going to talk to him about it. You didn't overstep. And it's like, she goes on, our friendship is so new and you were right. You know your friends better than I do, and the thought of losing everyone and having no friends again. He goes, friends are allowed to have different opinions on how to handle things, Holly. And it's like, they have these conversations over and over again in this entire story. When you're reading, you truly feel like you've read the same conversation at least thrice whenever it happens again. And it's also confusing because they have such mature conversations, the two of them, and then still don't communicate about things that are important. Does that make sense? Like, they will have these conversations about overstepping and boundaries and friendships and virginity is a social construct, but then later on, she's like, oh, I don't know if he likes me. Girl. Shut up. And I let go of her neck, her hand slides into mine like it's the most natural thing in the world, and I think back to when Anastasia, about what Anastasia said about never holding her hand. She's right, but I think the main difference between Hallie and Anastasia is that I've never been attracted to Anastasia, and now I know Hallie likes it too. Okay! We know she likes it, you like it, and then it's still, this is like a third into the book. The other 2/3 is still like, does he like me? Does she even like me? Does she even like this? Does he even like this? You're having mature conversations about people doing coke, but you can't fucking talk about holding hands properly? I feel like this is unbalanced. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's just how I feel though, personally. Not very good. Also go on a date at one point to give her new experiences, and he like unlocks her phone, opens her phone, and she has a sex app open where it's like people having sex and she's listening to it. It's like a audio sex. It's like audio Pornhub. Okay. You don't have to worry, queen. You don't have to listen to only audio. He will heal you with his magic schlong soon enough. And she does come vaginally, which is also something that I feel like they should have a conversation about if we're already into the feminist territory. They spend every single second together. They are absolutely codependent. This is not a healthy relationship, especially because Hallie has issues saying no. She's a people pleaser. Nobody's pleased with her. That's another story. We have other things happening, like her family calling, but they don't really care about what she's doing. They just need her help. Her boyfriend or her ex-boyfriend being a little bitch. Her friends asking her to do things. But at the end of the day, it's like she also, with a lot of these situations, gets herself into these situations where it's like nobody asked her to do anything. She just offers to do it. And then people are like, do you even have the time for this? And she's like, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. And it's like, it kept happening over and over again. It's like, okay, like at some point, girl, you gotta understand you can say no. I feel like it was just dragging on for way too long. Like the revelation that she has in the end, it was taking too long to become a revelation, you know what I mean? And so that's why I was so frustrated, and that's why I don't believe it in the end. Like, I truly believe her and Henry are gonna break up. They're not gonna get married. They're not. He obviously is now sexually frustrated because he's a man and he has needs. We get lines like, she swivels in my lap to look at me properly and her ass pressed against me reminds me how long it's been since I had sex, because that's something you obviously think about when you're just hanging out with someone. And then it also goes, the fact that I haven't gotten laid in forever also doesn't help my judgment when I'm going to have to look at Hallie's curse and ass all night. God, I miss sex. I don't like it. Men have needs, guys. Men have needs. Men need to sex. Uga uga. Penis. I just felt like those lines also were so out of place, and to me it felt like she was just writing them because she knew that's what people were expecting for her. Compared to Icebreaker, this book is super tame, which also, sorry, let me get close. I think it made sense with the story that there wasn't that much sex in this book. There was like maybe one, the first time they do it, like it's the only explicit pee-pee and poo-poo scene. Other than that, we get mentions of it, or like really quick, like he puts it in and he comes, you know, that's it. And there's only really like 3 explicit spicy chapters, which is what the children on TikTok were so excited about. And so I think that's also maybe something that people were disappointed in, that she didn't do more. But then again, like, I think it's fine. I think it makes sense. Like, she's a virgin and everything. Like, she also just doesn't seem like the type of bitch that would be fucking left and right. But why do we then still have lines like this where it's like, the man, he needs it. Give it to him. I don't know why we're still doing that. I don't like it. I say it every time. And I will stand by it. Speaking of sex, let's read the first sex scene. Basically, she's like, I can't come. They kiss for the first time. And they, like, it's really hot and making out, and then they're in bed and he doesn't want to fuck, and even though he really wants to fuck, but he's a good guy, you know, because she's never had sex before. And he's like, okay, then, like, what else can we do? And he asks her, what have you done? And she goes, can you tell me what you've done? Wow. Was it only with him? And she goes, yeah, only him. I let him finger me twice and I gave him head a handful of times. And then he goes, did you enjoy it? And she goes, I didn't like giving head, but it sort of wasn't sexy when I'd been begged for it, and he was a bit rough. I tried again if you promised to be more patient and gentle, I guess. I didn't like him touching me either, but I think I'm one of those people who can only get themselves off. And then it's like, okay, you're having conversations like this, but then in the next chapter you're like, does he even like me? Girl. Stand up. He goes, he never made you come? And she's like, no, and he goes, can I make you come? And she's like, yeah, but don't feel bad if you can't. Don't worry about it. He's got it. He also records her some audio with the, like, so she can listen to it. She doesn't have to listen to Pornhub audio anymore. She can just listen to their own. And he does make her come really, really quickly. You're so wet. I'm just reading the highlights right now. You're going to make me come. And he goes, I know, do it. And then she does. And then the chapter just ends. What happened after that, girl? Like, please for once elaborate on the things that matter. I don't even know what happens after this, honestly. Let's just get to the sex chapters. Like, this is 47% in, by the way, that they do this. And then what happens next? She's like, are you good? He goes, need to jerk off as soon as I get home, but yes, I'm good. Okay, ew. And then after literally 50 pages later, she finally thinks about the fact that she's normal. We had this whole thing with, I didn't want to be with my ex-boyfriend, I didn't want to have sex with him, I thought there was something wrong with me, and I think that she, again, this is one of those things she wanted to do, she didn't do it properly. So many women are with men and they don't have any sex drive, but then they get with someone they actually like and they're like, oh my god, I do have a sex drive. And it's normal, you know what I mean? And then she goes, I genuinely thought I was broken in some way for a long time. I know I'm not, but that's how I was made to feel and it was hard to unlearn. So that's the first new experience. And she thinks about this like after they had already been, she has already been fingered, and she was like, oh, you've never been horny. He's like, you've never been horny. And she's like, no, I've never been horny. And it's like, okay, but you've jerked, whatever. To each their own. But it just doesn't make sense to me that these thoughts, if she is such an overthinker, come to her so much later. They should be happening in the moment. She should be thinking in the moment as it's happening, like, oh my god, I always thought there was something wrong with me. Now I'm experiencing this, like, maybe it truly wasn't my problem, but it was the man I was with. Like, she should have these revelations on her own, but they only happen in context with Henry. They are so codependent. Nothing, she doesn't do anything, she doesn't develop in any way, except if other people push her to. It was so fucking annoying. She's such a terrible main character, I'm gonna be honest. They get caught making out in a room, and then her friends are like, they see it, and she's like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? Like, we lied to them, everybody already assumed they were dating, but they weren't. That was the fake dating, by the way, I didn't mention. Them going on dates together was fake dating, but they kept denying to everyone that they were dating, so is it really fake dating? Like, giving fake dating a new meaning, I don't fuck with it. She's like, oh, like, we're still just friends. Like, we didn't lie to them when we said we were just friends. Like, it's fine, right? After he has already fingered her and they've been saying, like, low-key, like, I love you so much. On the low, though, like, as a friend. He goes, I don't like that. Oh, no, he says, don't like that, not I don't like that. Is that what she thought I meant when we talked about no labels? I brush it off. Girl, speak up! Don't shut up, speak up! Stand up for yourself. What do you mean? I brush it off. This is what I fucking mean. Like, please, just have a proper conversation for once. Why do you want to make these characters like so sophisticated, pro everything, ultra communicators, and then they don't communicate about the things that actually fucking matter? It was so frustrating to read because it kept going on, and we're not even at the fucking end yet. We're at 50%. And also, I'm not trying to be insensitive. Again, she's supposed to be the ultra super big sister, everything planner. She goes, every year I debate planning their trip and booking myself to go somewhere else alone. Sadly, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't be able to function without me, and they'd end up missing, fighting, or stranded. I mean, they fight when I'm there too, but at least I know where they all are. And she's talking about the summer, or not the summer, the spring break vacation that they do with her ex-boyfriend's family. Like, her family and her ex-boyfriend's family, they always go on vacation. And she supposedly is the one that always plans it. Low-key, guys, like, how incompetent can a group of adults be? Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm so sorry, but I just don't buy it. He eats her out. It's not that good. She goes, I should say something, anything, maybe write him a thank you letter or erect a monument in his honor. Girl, this is the first time you got your pussy ate. You know what I mean? Like, calm down. Calm down. And it's like, again, feels so forced. I can just imagine how she was sitting there being like, she should say something, like write a thank you letter and then let's like make it really grand. Erect a monument. Girl, it's not hitting. It's not hitting. I'm not giggling. And it's not good. And I'm really rushing through this because I'm so over it. I'm so agitated. If I was with anyone else, I'd ask them outright, but with Hallie, I know that she'd tell me whatever she thinks I want to hear. How fucking annoying is that? I'm sorry, girl. Shut up and stand up. Like, I'm sorry. And this is like, we're 2/3 into the book and it's like, she's still not standing up for herself. She's still not speaking up for herself. And it's like, it's so tiring when you have to read the same kind of cycle over and over again. She goes to his phone because now they finally have sex for the first time. It's on Christmas, by the way. This was also my review. My review on Goodreads at Honestly Sophie is her gift to him for Christmas was her virginity. That's what it was. It's another one of those things where she like, both of these characters, but especially Hallie, keeps thinking in her head, does he even like me? Like, am I pushing too much? Am I overdoing it? And then she sees that his background is her. 2 different pictures, his lock screen and his homepage, is 2 pictures of her as his phone background. She does not comment on this. Isn't this like, if I were writing a book, I'm so sorry, but if I were writing a book and my main character was like, does this boy even like me? And then I go into his phone and I see I'm the fucking background, I'm going to be like, oh my god. Ew. Slay. She doesn't do it. She doesn't think, guys. It's so frustrating, right? And the reason she goes on his phone is because he digitalized her grandma's, who's dead, her grandma's cooking book or whatever, and that's so nice of him. He even illustrated the things. It's so thoughtful of him, very thoughtful gift. He also gifts her a necklace. Is she wearing it in the picture? No. Gifts her a necklace with an H on it and is in his handwriting, and he's like, you can decide if it's Henry or Hallie, and she's like, I want it to stand for Henry. Very thoughtful gifts. And you know what she fucking gives him? Headphones. Not head, sadly. Headphones that are noise cancelling. Because she's like, yeah, you know, your headphones are noise cancelling. Like, this is going to be good for you because you get overstimulated. And he's like, oh my god, thank you so much. I would feel like the fucking biggest bitch ever if I gave someone, after he did all this for me, and he like also recorded an audio for her, or she recorded for him, doesn't matter. All very sexual. I think she records an audio, a sex audio for him to listen to. And then, of course, she gives him her virginity. That's a big present. Earlier it's mentioned that she has to organize a birthday present for her mom, which I don't even know what the fuck it was at the end, because otherwise the entire family wouldn't get her mom a Christmas or a birthday present, I mean. And it's just like, okay, it's gotta be an ass present that you're organizing. If the present to him is just fucking headphones, like the dude that you're actually, maybe gift giving isn't her love language, but also love language, isn't that kind of like controversial? I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. She gifts him, more specifically, lingerie in a box. No, plot twist, the lingerie is on her. She just gives him the empty box and I'm so sorry. He opens the box, it's empty. She goes, the lingerie isn't in the box, she has it on. And then she goes to tell us, I thought a lot about it, but I also confided in Cammy, whoever, I think that's the lesbian girly pop, that I was ready when she helped me after I decided I wanted to start taking birth control. She gave me a list of things to bring, like my vibrator, lube, a towel in case I bleed, guys, I'm sorry. Okay, whatever, and condoms. It was her idea to wear the lingerie and give him the box. She had to tell you to put on the lingerie and give him the empty box. Ugh! You didn't even you didn't even think of that yourself, girl! That wasn't even a present you thought of yourself! I fucking hate Hallie, honestly. I need her to shut up. Somebody actually, I think Cammy, the lesbian girly pop, tells her to shut up later. I had a sex dream about you once, weeks ago, and I couldn't look at you, I admit, sort of frantically, while I watched him push down his boxes and roll on the condom. It's so thick and heavy. I know biology is on my side and I'm designed to take it. Next. It's the only time they have like actual like proper in-depth on sex, on page sex. And then later, they talk about being in a relationship and it's like, Calling Will my boyfriend destroyed our friendship. I'm scared that if we try to put a label on what we have, it'll change things. I don't want things to change between us. I like them exactly as they are. We tell each other what we want, what we need. We see, you literally don't. We see each other as much as we can, like every day. The sex, ... The sex is incredible. It's on fire. She doesn't say that. You make me laugh. You make me feel so cherished, Henry. What if I'm not just supposed to be someone's... What if I'm just not supposed to be someone's girlfriend? I don't want to risk it all going wrong. I just want to be exclusive. Am I asking for too much? Yes. Yes. Girl, I don't fucking get the whole label thing, why they have discussions about labels. It's like, okay, I would get it if we were talking about sexuality. Just say you're in a fucking relationship, bitch. You're comparing it to your ex-boyfriend who literally exploited you in a sense or another. And then you're comparing it to fucking Henry, who's been nothing but kind to you the entire fucking book. We'll get to it later, but... It's like, I just cannot take it seriously. I'm so sorry. She has a hickey, and then it goes, after searching her bag, she produces a color corrector palette. Who the fuck just has a color corrector's palette in their fucking makeup bag? In their to-go makeup bag? You? I don't. The only plus side to Henry's overthinking is his bit to distract himself, which so far has involved bending me over, climbing on top of me, pulling me on top of him, every surface on his house, my house, and, as much as I'm horrified to admit it, my car. Then they do something crazy. They have sex on a canvas because he's an artist. And I've always wondered, like, is that safe? Because I'm sure there's some of his pee-pee, and if that goes inside her, is that safe? Or is she gonna get, like, syphilis? Sound of paint splashing as his skin slaps against mine is pushing me towards the edge. So she does come vaginally. Congrats, girl. And we get to the end of the book finally. If you cannot tell, I'm rushing because I get so mad because it's such a frustrating read. Basically, we have the big confrontation with the only villain in this book, which is Will. Apparently, the entire book has been leading up to the fact that her ex-boyfriend and Henry are going to play hockey against each other, which they don't end up doing because they end up getting in a fight. Before that fight, her ex-boyfriend is at her house with her parents because they came just for this game. For whatever reason, they are visiting, and the dude is like, girl, you've changed. You cut your long hair, you changed your makeup, you started wearing jewelry. You're obviously having sex now. You even smell different. Did you change your perfume for him? And it's like, okay, now we're doing too much. This is the confrontation between Will and her, Holly, where he's like, they will drop you, you should come back to me, like, we can figure this out, your friends don't actually like you, blah, blah, blah. He tries to get in her head, which is why I meant, like, he's actually, like, a bad person. It's not just, like, the sex aspect. He does seem to be really evil. And then later he has, I didn't even fucking mark it, but anyway, he has a confrontation with Henry before the hockey game, where it's like, oh, did you see her naked or whatever, and, like, I'm gonna fuck her on spring break, and he's like, okay, sure, I don't think you will. And then he goes, I get it now. You get what? He sneers. Why she could never love you. And then Will punches him in the face or something. I actually don't know. But anyway, that's why they don't play hockey against each other. And then he gets revoked as captain. And he's like, finally, I didn't even want to fucking do it in the first place. Oh yeah, the lesbian goes, after she says, I don't want to waste anyone's time just for me to not win. She says, girl, shut up. We're on one side. They help her finish her book. Meanwhile, her and Henry, after this incident, they have sex and then they don't speak for a month because he's like, I need time for myself. I need to figure myself out and what all of this means to me. I don't really fucking know. He leaves because he's so overwhelmed for a month. He does not message her, does not interact with her. Misses on Valentine's Day, like misses out Valentine's Day. Which to each their own, but I would be fucking pissed. I mean, they're not in a relationship anyway, you know, don't worry about it. Even after all of this, which by the way, when Henry and Will had the confrontation, I need to get my names right, at the same time, right before that, Holly and her mom also had a confrontation where she basically told her mom, I'm sick and tired of always doing everything for you guys. You're not checking in on me. You're trying to push me and Will together after I told you I'm not with him anymore, I'm with someone else, like I don't fuck with him, blah blah blah. They have this entire like screaming match confrontation, and then her mom's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. And it's like, honestly, like if this had been going on for 20 years, I would not forgive my mom just like that, but she does, and she even agrees to go on to the spring break vacation with her mom, the rest of her family, and Will and his family. Okay. Apologized for not really realizing how much she put on me. She told me I was her rock, the one who— girl, you're— ugh, whatever. She told me I was her rock, the one who kept her sane through all the stressful times, but that her dependence on me had robbed me of so much. She cried when she told me she worried that I'd mature too quickly and that's why I struggled to make friends. Girl, she should feel fucking bad, you know? I just don't like when people cannot stand up. Like, I get it's hard, but sometimes I'm like, just get up. I get so frustrated, I'm sorry. Anyway, how does the book end? She's on her way to the airport and she sees Henry and he gives her— oh no, yes, he gives her something. I don't remember if it's like headphones also. He's giving them back. It was an ass present. And he has recorded an audiobook of her book that she wrote for the competition that she didn't win. She became second and her friends helped her write. And then he also illustrated, like he had it bound as a proper book, and he designed a cover for it, which maybe it's this one. No, I'm just kidding. And he makes an audiobook out of it. He reads the entire book. He reads the note in the beginning, the author's note. And it's like, oh my god, I love you so much, Hallie. Like, you're my girlfriend. I'm your boyfriend, whatever. And that is why she ends up canceling the trip. Henry is the reason she ends up canceling the trip. She couldn't do it out of her own agency, where she was like, no, this isn't right for me. Yet again, it was someone else that he wasn't like, you should cancel the trip, you should cancel the trip. It was just like, she was like, no, I'm gonna go back now, I'm gonna go back now. Cancels the fucking trip, goes back, goes on a girls trip with her girls whose names I don't know. Her and Henry live happily ever after, and I can't fucking speak. I'm gonna turn the camera off. I'm sorry. I need to calm down. I'm gonna... Welcome back, everybody, to the end of this video. Yoo-hoo! I was genuinely so frustrated with this book, and I think that it really was just one of the most boring books I've ever read in my life. I'm just looking at myself, sorry, I'm gonna look at you. Her letter in the beginning was valid, saying she doesn't want to write a diagnosis storyline and everything, but I just want to reiterate that I agree with her with you can live a fulfilled life even if you struggle with ADHD or autism, but I still think that it would have been better for her to go the route of having Henry get a diagnosis / just concern himself with the ADHD that he might potentially have. I mean, she's making it pretty obvious that he does, you know, we're not speculating here. Just because I think it would have also really landed her with the fans, also with the audience. People want to see that. People want to see themselves represented. And I think more people were disappointed in her not doing it than they were grateful for her not doing it or whatever. That being said, it was a boring book. The characters were fucking annoying. I hate Holly. And I'm really not curious to see what she's gonna do now, because as far as I'm concerned, she's finished the Maple Hill saga that this was. / maybe she's going to keep doing it because there's too many side characters. She could write a book about all of them. Not that anybody cares necessarily, but you know. So it's going to be interesting to see whether she writes something new, something different, or if she's going to stay in her comfort zone, in the Maple Hills comfort zone. I'm not going to be there to see it. Maybe she writes a different book about something entirely different. I would give it a chance and see how she's grown as an author, but I just think her constricting herself to this world that she has created is not going to help her grow as an author, even if that's something she says in the beginning. I'm not the same person I was when I wrote Icebreaker. Why does the book read as bad as Icebreaker then? I look good. You guys let me know what you thought. Again, I don't know how the book ends because I actually skimmed the end and nothing really of interest happened. Like, they were all just hanging out with their friends whose names I don't remember, and so I was like, I don't really care for this, and so I just stopped reading. I really don't give a fuck. Let me know what you thought of the book, if you've read it, if you care about the Icebreaker saga, whatever, if I should read the second book that I skipped. Honestly, I don't think I should. Thank you again to my members for supporting me. If you are not a member and you want to vote on my next read, then you can consider becoming a member, but if you don't want to, then I still love you. And of course, I love my members a little extra. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you stay happy, you stay healthy, peace and love, and hopefully, I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.